안녕하세요. 사람사랑유학원 대표 이선호입니다. 그래요. 지금 5시가 딱 시작이 돼서 바로 시작을 하도록 할게요. 여기에 참가하겠다고 하시는 분들은 뭐 20분이 좀 넘긴 하는데 지금 토요일 날 시간이 굉장히 좀 중요하기 때문에 바로 시작을 하도록 하고요. 그다음에 무엇보다도 제가 이걸 레코딩을 하고 있기 때문에 나중에 좀 늦더라도 아니면 중간에 뭐 무슨 일이 있어서 좀 나가더라도 제가 다시 이걸 보내드리고 해서 그죠? 좀 빠짐없이 내용을 좀 확인할 수 있도록 해드리겠습니다. 네, 지금 일단 순서는 제가 프레젠테이션 간단히 좀 준비를 했어요. 그래서 이 내용을 가지고 조금 얘기를 해드리고요. 오늘 지금 들어오고 있고요. 오늘 내용에 대해서 그리고 나서 바로 야스민 사와 그리고 지금 화면에 계시는 라피가 좀 준비를 해드리도록 하겠습니다. 지금 계속 들어오시는 분이 계시고요. 계속 들어오시고 야스민 사우도 지금 들어오고 있고요. Hello, Yasmin.
Hi.
Hi.
Morning.
Okay, so I already started. So so I'm going to give a brief introductory introductory presentation about within 5 minutes, and then you can start another presentation.
No problem.
Okay.
Thank you.
Yeah. 잠깐만요. 지금 계속 들어오고 계시는 분이 있으셔가지고요. 예, 지금 바로 시작을 하도록 하겠습니다. 지금 오늘은 옥스퍼드 인터내셔널 칼리지에서 소개하는 옥스브리지 그리고 톱 대학교 입학 세미나에 대해서 세미나를 시작하도록 하겠습니다. 1부에서는 제가 간단히 소개해드리고요. 그 다음에 야스민 사와가 어떻게 하면 톱 대학을 가는지 어떤 부분이 중요한지 이 부분에 대해서 소개해드리고요. 그리고 나중에 마지막에는 아까 화면을 보셨던 라피가 그 옥스퍼드 인터내셔널 칼리지 썸머 코스에 대해서 소개를 해드리도록 하겠습니다. 그래요. 지금 이 세미나를 제가 PPT를 가지고 몇 가지 이렇게 보면서 이 부분을 좀 소개를 좀 먼저 해드려야겠다라고 생각이 되는 게 아래 부분이거든요. 그래서 이번 세미나는 코로나에 대한 부분이 좀 들어가 있어요. 그래도 코로나에 대해서 어떻게 학생들을 평가를 했고, 그다음에 어떤 식으로 학생들이 좀 밀려서 경쟁률이 어떻게 되는지, 왜 이런 부분. 특히 톱 학교에 대해서 경쟁률은 좀 심해졌다라고 생각이 되고요. 하지만 나머지 러셀 그룹이라는 나머지 학교들은 코로나 영향으로 좀 학생이 없을 수 있긴 하는데 아무튼 톱 대학교 입학은 굉장히 좀 경쟁률이 상승했다는 부분이 포함이 되어 있고요. 그리고 뭐 성공적으로 A레벨을 위한 요소들 그러니까 A레벨 성적도 필요하고요. 어드미션 테스트, 인터뷰, 케이스에 대해서 소개를 하고요. 그리고 OIC에서 학습의 스킬, 그죠? 40가지 티칭 테크놀로지나 이그점 테크놀로지, 피드백 그리고 익스피리언스를 가지고 어떻게 그걸 리플렉트 하는지 왜 이런 부분에 대해서 좀 소개를 하고 있습니다. 그리고 OIC에서 가장 중요하게 생각하는 뭐 아카데믹한 부분, 그리고 커리어라든지 유니버시티 준비, 그리고 퍼스널 디벨롭먼트에 대해서 소개를 하고 있고요. 그리고 마지막에 온라인 수업을 그죠? OIC 서머 코스를 하게 되는데 이 부분은 뭐 OIC를 가지 않은 학생들에게 굉장히 많이 좀 도움이 될 거예요. 그래서 오늘 세미나는 사실 L레벨을 지금 준비하고 있는 학생들에게 굉장히 많이 좀 도움이 될 거예요. 시작하기 전에 있는 학생들에게요. 그래서 단지 L레벨은 과목 수업이 아니라 여러 가지 내 열정이라든지 그다음에 당연히 그죠 뭐 과목이라든지 익스피리언스라든지 왜 이런 부분들을 다 포함을 하고 있고요. 그다음 무엇보다도 여기는 톱 학교 톱 전공을 입학하기 위한 그런 세미나라는 걸 좀 이해를 하시고 좀 들으시면 될 것 같아요. 그리고 여기 OIC를 가지 않는 학생들에게는 왜 참여하는 학교에서 왜 이런 프로그램을 하는지 그 부분을 좀 이해하기 굉장히 좀 좋을 거예요. 그래서 과목 외에 여러 가지 활동들을 어떻게 내가 참여를 해야 되는지 왜 이런 부분에 대한 확신을 하게 될 겁니다. 이런 부분 했고요. Yasmin, are you ready? So you can start now.
Yeah, I'll quickly share my screen for Yasmin.
Yeah. 이렇게 지금 화면을 그죠? 해야 할까요?
Can everyone see this? Can everyone see the screen?
No, not yet, Rafi. I still got Suno's screen.
Oh, Suno, can you, if you stop sharing your screen?
No, we saw it just now, Rafi.
Okay, let me do it again. PowerPoint, share. Let me know if you can see it.
Yeah, got it.
Perfect.
Okay, fantastic. Good morning from the UK. It's good weather today, I think, hopefully will be. So today we are here to obviously present to you about getting into top universities. In particular, if you're applying to the G5 universities in the UK. But normally, I would normally present this as what are the academic criterias and the, what are the strategies to get into top universities. But I think in the context of the pandemic and the post-COVID-19 education, it's really important to understand that the strategy moving forward, because the challenges are going to be different, and therefore the strategy will have to also adjust accordingly as well. So it's really important to understand what has been the impact of the pandemic on applying to top universities, and therefore what are the solutions around it as well, because it's not going to go back to pre-pandemic state, at least in the next 2 to 3 years. So it's really important to understand where we're at and what do we do to solve those issues. So we're going to start off today to talk about how did we get to this position, what are the challenges that our children, our students are going to be facing, what are the impact of those challenges on Russell Group universities, also to understand the cases on deferments, and also to understand the challenge of the diversity drive for top UK universities, what has led to, it has led to increased competition for international students, and then finally, what are the solutions to embrace these challenges. Because getting to top universities, there are certain strategies which I've been talking about that for the last 20 years. But it's really important to embrace the challenges and adjust accordingly to the situation. Next slide, please. So a little bit about myself. I'm the Chief Education Officer at Oxford International College since 2017. My role basically is to lead the college in both the, from a curriculum point of view, academic strategy, but also in terms of the team management, building a really strong team, and really the daily operations of the college. I work very closely with the college principal, Kim Tarar. I consider myself as a, obviously I'm a teacher. I'm also an academic strategist in the sense that I plan, my team and I, we map out plans, both academic plans as well as career plans for our students. I also sit on interview panels at some of the UK medical schools. I'm the founder of Cardiff Sixth Form College, which, I founded that in 2004. It topped the league table for 9 consecutive years until it became number 2 in 2019, because that's when I led OIC, which was an unranked school before I joined, and I led that to become the number 1 school in the country in 2019, and it has been number 1 since then. In 2011, I won the Best Science Tutor of the Year award, and I was given the award by David Cameron. That was a Pearson Education Teaching Awards, and that was for award for teaching in sciences. And in 2015, I won the Welsh Woman of the Year award in the education section. In 2015, also I won the Class Nobel Educator of Distinction Award, which is given by the Nobel family, and I did a TEDx talk about education reforms in 2016. So that's a little bit about myself. Suno, do I need to pause for translation, or I just carry on?
You can just carry on.
Brilliant. Thank you very much. Thank you. So as I said earlier on, I started my journey as a teacher in chemistry and biology. I love teaching. I'm very passionate about teaching. But as I also mentioned, I consider myself as an academic or educational strategist. And what that means is I put a lot of, my methodology and pedagogical approach has always been on career development, because I believe that career development is an important strand of the education, and the academic is is a byproduct of their career development. So I'm really proud of our university destination statistics. So not only have the methodology that we have employed academically have allowed us to top the league table for around 13 years consecutively, but also that the approach that we've had, the methodology that we've applied has also enabled us to help students to get into top universities worldwide, including the G5 universities in the UK, which are Oxford, Cambridge, London School of Economics, Imperial College London, and over 400 students admitted into medical schools. So, you know, it's over nearly up to 1,000 students over the course of the last 11 to 12 years of getting into top universities worldwide. 100% success rate of students getting into Russell Group universities in the UK, and we also have students applying to the US. My first application to US, our students got into Harvard, Yale, Stanford, and so on. So the strategy that we employ is primarily in terms of ensuring that the students discover their passion, build the evidences around their passion, and then being very strategic about how they, what selection process they go through, how do they apply to these universities. We deal with students who come from all sorts of backgrounds, students who have done national qualification, students who have taken GCSEs, IGCSEs. So we have students from all around the world with different academic background and different personalities, different skill sets. We have students who are very good in reasoning skills, and some students who are not as good as reasoning skills. But yet the most important thing is that they build, because they build this, discover their passion, they build the evidence around their passion, and then they're able to strategize their university application, whatever the challenges it may be because of their previous academic background. And that, I think, it's very magical because, if you look at the process of getting into top universities, it actually starts from a very young age because, students are, if you go into a traditional boarding school in the UK, you start off with being filtered at the age of, even 8, you got the 8+ exams, 11+ exams, 13+ exams. And yet our students come to us for either a 1-year GCSE course, a 2 years A-level course, 18 months A-level course. And in a very short period of time, they have to, we help them to build the building blocks that's required to strategize their university application. And I think that's quite uniquely placed. Next slide, please. So, as I said earlier at the start of the presentation, obviously pre-pandemic, and we continue to have the same admissions policies. We continue to have that, but there have been some changes, which, and these changes have led to challenges, basically, in particular for international students, and in particular for students applying for competitive courses at these top universities. So I think it's really important to understand where we're heading over the next 3 to 4 years and those challenges, and as well, as I said earlier, what are the solutions around that. Next slide, please. So first of all, as we know, last year in the UK, and if you were doing international A-levels and GCSEs, exams were cancelled. And instead of exams, the Office of Qualification, which is the regulator, they introduced the concept of centre assessed grades, which are the grades which schools and colleges assess students are most likely to have achieved if exams had gone ahead. In order to provide a centre assessed grades, they came up with a formula, which is known as the calculated grades, and that formula is based on an algorithm. Now, this algorithm had caused a lot of issues last year because nearly 40% of A-level final grades downgraded from centre assessment grades. So that was the situation last year. As we know, IB was cancelled, A-level was cancelled, GCSEs, IGCSEs, international A-levels, and a lot of countries were not able to conduct their national qualifications. So because of that, universities had to change a lot of their, or they had to adapt to the situation. And in fact, what occurred, the biggest problem that happened was because student displacement. So number of students being able to get the offer were displaced, basically, because of last year. So last year, because of the number of offers made, and there were a lot of a lot of students who, due to the the grade inflation, were now able to make offers to top universities. And because of that, suddenly overnight, universities had to adjust with the growing increased number of students. And of course, there were also directives from the university ministers asking universities, the top universities, and it's the same situation in the US, to protect the middle ranking and the lower ranking universities so that they don't take up all the students at the very top, because now there's huge grade inflation. Next slide, please. So how did the algorithm work? So obviously, as I said, UK students did not sit exams last year, and it was similar to students across the world as well, if they're looking at international A-levels. So for each pupil, teachers were asked to supply an estimated grade and a ranking compared with every other pupil with the same estimated grade. So then these ranking and estimated grade, they were put through an algorithm or a mathematical procedure with the idea that the grades last year would be consistent with how schools would have performed in the past. So because of that, this algorithm situation, because of that grade inflation, that has now caused student displacement, numbers to be displaced, and that then has a domino effect. And that's why there's impact on current year 11 or last year's year 11 students, or year 12, year 13. The domino effect is predicted to last at least up to 3 years. Next slide, please. So what happened as a result? So as I said, the algorithms design, many students received downgraded A-level results. For example, in 2017 to 2019, if a student had a U grade, the algorithm awarded the 2020 bottom ranked student a U grade, regardless of what students' actual accomplishments were. So this system prompted immediate criticism from schools, parents, and students. And in just a period of 5 days, the government dropped the scheme in what has been known as a policy U-turn. So what the students had instead, they received the center assessed grades that were awarded by their teacher assessments. And overall inflation was 1.2% for A star, 2.4% for A star to A compared to 2019. Now, 2.4% might not sound very, very big percentage, but actually when you look at student numbers, that's a huge grade inflation. Now, this year again, exams in the UK have been cancelled, but instead of not having any form of assessments, they are assessments, but they are teacher-led assessments and marked by the teachers. So although this year is different from last year, there is still going to be grade inflation. So grade inflation causes a domino effect, especially when you're applying to top universities as well. And I sit on many university panels. As I said, I consider myself as an educational strategist, and I have been, I work very closely with all the top universities. And so gaining the insights and then having the foresight to plan ahead is very, very important. So this year, for example, this year is based on teacher assessed grades again, so it's not called center assessed grades. So this year's teacher assessed grades, but there is some form of assessments, and there are still going to be deferred exams being offered in the autumn term. Last year we had 98% A star to A grades, so that was the calculated grades, center assessed grades that were awarded to the students. This year, of course, we are going through the process, and we will know in August in terms of the results. But last year and this year, both are on the basis of either center assessed grades or teacher assessed grades. So basically, it's not the form of an exam taken, in normal pre-pandemic years. Next slide, please. So just to share with you that last year was obviously a very difficult year in the sense that having from an educator point of view and from students' point of view, because of having no exams and the uncertainties around how universities are going to, the top universities, how they're going to treat students in terms of the offers and all that. So our strategy is, because we were very prudent, we were very consistent with how we assess students, because the number number one issue, and I'll go through what the mindset of the universities are in particular this year and moving forward, but our strategies and pedagogies really paid off, because as you can see, the results that our students have achieved and also the universities that they've gone to. So we have been, last year, all our students made through to their offers, you know, whether it's medicine or Cambridge, Cambridge University for natural science, or law, or, you know, material science at Oxford. We also had a number of students who had been awarded scholarships as well. So despite it being a sort of a pandemic kind of situation, we had students who were awarded full scholarships to study at university at some of, you know, like Oxford or Cambridge and so on. So we're very pleased. As you can see on this slide, you can see the students and their grades, and you can see there's a lot of variation of different courses. We normally put students into 3 different career groups, and we focus then on individual students with their career planning. But the 3 main career groups are life sciences, so those are healthcare courses. Then you have physical sciences and mathematics, so that's for the mathematicians, engineering and computer science. Then you have humanities and commerce, so that will be for the economic students, law and humanities students. So there are 3 career groups, and then within those 3 career groups, there are obviously lots of different branches, and students are then trained within their branches. And then we also have sub branches as well. But also the other thing that you can see, the other variation that you can see from this slide, is that students are doing different number of subjects. So you have students going to Cambridge with, you know, Esther with 3 subjects, and you have Thomas going to Cambridge with 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 subjects. So you have people going into, you know, Cambridge with different number of subjects. And in fact, and that again goes back to the whole thing about how you need to strategize. Is not one size fits all. You see, when we go to school, when students go to school, it's very easy to go into the mindset that I need to do what others are doing. So if my friend is doing 4 subjects and he got into Cambridge, then I should be doing 4 subjects as well. And it doesn't quite work like that. You know, it's really important to map your own personalized journey. Of course, you need to see what other people are doing and get inspired or motivated or learn from other people's mistakes. But it's really important to map your own journey, because each one of these students on this slide have all had different sets of academic background, different personalities, you know, different challenges, and again, how you strategize your application based on your strengths and your weakness is very important. And therefore, the number of subjects is also a part of that strategy, and then choosing the right university, the college, the course, all those things, very important. But it's not one size fits all. It's very important to understand that. As you can see on this slide, we have variation of subjects, and obviously we have lots of different courses that our students are interested in, but all these courses are actually very competitive. It's less than 10% acceptance rate. Next slide, please. So university destinations in 2020. So despite the assessment difficulties in 2020, we achieved an epic year of university destination. 1 in 3 Oxbridge application received an offer. Nationwide, it was 19.25%. We had 31% success rate, and around 60% of our leavers would go to G5 universities, which are the UK's top schools, and of course, some of the world's most prestigious institutions. So 1 in 2 into Oxford, 1 in 3 into Cambridge. So just to give you, you know, some details. And this year, again, we're doing really well, considering that this year's actually was harder than last year's university application, because the student displacement this year is the hardest year, because obviously when the pandemic hit or the lockdown hit in the UK last year, it was around March time. So by then, most of the university offers were already being made. This year, of course, you know, universities are a lot more cautious about how, you know, how they make offers and whom do they make offers to. And this attitude of being cautious is going to remain, and I'll explain in a minute why. Next slide, please. So 2020 A-level results changed the university admissions landscape. It's not just the A-levels, it's the GCSEs as well, and IGCSEs. Basically, the lack of formal examination process and the lack of the and the degree of the uncertainty about whether or not the key thing that universities are concerned about are students actually, how much disruption that they've had in their academics, because obviously for universities they have to consider when students graduate, the quality of that graduation is also important, so that whether students are actually ready to embark on a competitive course. So that's one thing that they are really concerned about, is the quality of the applicants, the level of disruption, and the quality of what they're going to have at graduation stage. So that's key. The other thing that universities are concerned about is that if we've had 2 years of universities having to adjust based on what governments or what the situation and what the public policy has been. So what they want to do is they want to take back into control. So for example, pre-pandemic, universities would make ×3, ×4 offers per place. But during the pandemic, a lot of these top universities last year and this year only made ×1.2 offers per place rather than ×3 or ×4. And that has been a significant change itself from the number of offers they give out. And that shows you the level of caution that they're applying when they make offers. Next slide, please. So last year, all of the UK's top universities admitted more students than they were expecting. All the Russell Group universities, including Oxbridge, of course, as I said, they were impacted, and they continue to be impacted. It hasn't yet changed. It hasn't yet improved. The level of grade inflation this summer for this year's exams is also going to cause another set of in terms of difficulty and challenges. So what if I explain in 3 ways? Number one, last year, because there was a government U-turn and they had to accept more students than they had places. So due to the government U-turn, that student numbers now are displaced into this year. And this year, because there's no exams, again, it gets, and because they are deferred exams as well, again, potentially the student numbers will be displaced again. But the displacement from, although this year's will be less than last year, but last year's displacement, it has caused a domino effect over 2 years. And of course, compounded by the other problem that universities are concerned of the quality of the students, whether or not they are so disrupted, and whether or not that's going to have an impact on their when they join university. So that's another thing that they have been concerned about. Next slide, please. And that is why you look at statistics this year. Oxford has made 9% fewer offers this year than in 2020. In fact, it has made the fewest offers in a decade. And the first time the number of offers has declined year on year since 2013. So the number of offers given by Oxford. So that tells you straight away that they have changed the proportionality of the number of offers they give per place, whereas in the past they would give ×3, ×4 per place, or at least ×2, between anything ×2 to ×4 per place. And the reason why universities always make more offers than places is because not every student will get the grade, number one. Not every student will accept the offer to go to that particular universities. So overall, it balances out. Each year, the numbers works out, and it's statistically balances out. But this year, because of the level of caution is very high, they have made the lowest offers in a decade, and they're very comfortable doing that. And that level of comfort is probably going to stay for another 2 years until the certainty comes back into what what's happening to the exams process. Because we still, even though this year we have a format, we still don't know what's going to happen next year as well. So these things are all up in the air. Cambridge University has introduced an oversubscription clause to its offer, so it allows them to withdraw places if too many students meet its entrance criteria. Well, they're not just going to withdraw it without consulting. Of course, they will consider perhaps giving another college or another course or something like that. But there is an oversubscription clause which was never there before. So I think it's imperative to understand that these changes have already happened. And other universities, other G5, other competitive courses are now also imbibing the same processes. For example, a lot of medical schools have made less offers this year. LSE, for example, has made very few offers this year compared to previous years. So again, these things are, have already occurred. Next slide, please. So 2021 applicants, as I said, this year actually face even more challenges compared to last year's, but that's because they also had 2020 deferred numbers. So students who were deferred from 2020, those numbers then got displaced into 2021. And now the government has introduced, the exam boards have said there's going to be a deferred exam in the autumn term, which means that student numbers may again get displaced because universities may be informed that they have to retain the places for the students for the following year should they get the grades through the deferred exams in the autumn. So it's again another year of student displacement number. So deferment means when you decide to take a year out before you start university course, so you defer your place until the following year. So in 2020, for example, due to cancelled exams and other COVID-19 related uncertainties, up to 10% of all A-level graduates deferred their university entry to 2021. Now, 10% of A-level graduates probably don't sound very much, but then if you add to graduates from IB or other universities, that increases. Next slide, please.
Sorry to interrupt. Sorry to interrupt you. Let me, so just a little bit explanation about this before the offer. 지금 내용은 다 이해했겠지만 사실 이 부분이 전에 없었던 내용이어가지고 잠깐만 제가 좀 소개를 해드릴게요. 그러니까 작년에 코로나 때문에 굉장히 많은 그 영국에서 오퍼를 주면 여기서 3배수, 4배수로 오퍼를 줘요. 예를 들면 100명을 뽑는다 그러면 뭐 300명, 400명에게 오퍼를 주는 거죠. 그래서 나중에 1레벨 성적이 나오고 인터뷰를 통과했을 때 그 성적에 맞는 사람들 100명을 뽑는 거예요. 물론 그죠? 200명, 300명이 400명 뽑았다 그러면 200명, 250명이 오퍼에 그죠? 적합했을 수 있어요. 하지만 유카스 통해서 5개 학교를 지원을 하기 때문에 그 학생들이 다른 데를 선택할 수 있기 때문에 뭐 3배수, 4배수를 뽑아도 문제가 없는 거죠. 하지만 작년에 그런 학생들이 굉장히 많이 붙어버린 거예요. 왜냐하면 시험을 보지 않았기 때문에 굉장히 많은 사람들이 A를 받고 이러다 보니까 그 학생들이 다 못 받고 올해까지 연기가 돼버린 거예요. 그래서 지금 올해 뽑는 사람들은 올해 입학, 그러니까 2021년 9월에 입학을 하는 사람들은 작년에서 넘어온 학생하고 지금 현재 그저 같이 시험을 보는 사람들하고 같이 경쟁을 해야 되는 그런 상황이 돼버린 거죠. 그러니까 이 올해는 경쟁이 너무 심하고 그다음에 의대를 가고 또 학교를 갔다는 학생들이 예년처럼 충분히 입학을 하려는 학생들이 너무 힘들게 오퍼를 받고 있고 이런 상황이 계속 되고 있는 거죠. 이해되실지 바라고요. Yeah, you can carry on.
Thank you. So in addition to those challenges, another challenge that has risen is that top UK universities have implemented a diversity drive for local students. So, top universities are sort of recruiting or helping local students to get into competitive courses. And what that means is that reduces spaces for international applicants, making it more competitive. For medicine is different because medicine, there's already a quota of 7.5% for international students. Actually, pre-pandemic, they were actually looking to lift the 7.5% quota, but unfortunately, because of the pandemic, that quota now still remains. However, for other courses, there's no quota, but because there is a huge diversity drive, you're not only competing with students from your country, but also worldwide, but also with the UK students as well. So the level of competition for international students for non-medical courses have now risen. Next slide, please. So more and more students we are seeing, over the last 2 years, for example, we are seeing statistics of very high number of students applying for highly competitive degrees. Medicine, computing, engineering, for example, have increased by 1/3 since 2011. Arts, English, and history have decreased by 1/3 since 2011. So predominantly, we do see application, a lot of application from international students in the STEAM subjects, medicine, computing, engineering, economics, and so on, and not so much in the arts, English, and history. So basically, the level of acceptance rate for the STEAM subjects tend to be less than 10%, as opposed to 50% for other courses that doesn't fall into that STEAM category. Next slide, please. So medicine, you know, at OIC, our students apply for the world's most competitive courses, which makes it really, again, I'm very proud of our students and our staff for their achievement for, you know, of their university destination, because despite all these challenges, as well as on top of that, the barrier to get into, you know, these competitive courses where there's less than 10% acceptance rate, you know, we're getting those offers, and our students are achieving those places at top universities. So it's really down to the strategic methodology despite the unfavorable odds. Next slide, please. So COVID-19, so this is the bit that you have to understand, what are the things that have changed? So number one, what's changed in terms of the admission process at these top universities? So the first thing is that we have to understand that there's an impact of the inflated grades. And these inflated grades from last year and potentially this year again is going to be felt beyond 2022. As I said, the impact is going to be, at least as from all the conversations I've had with all the universities and the education department and everybody, and the insight that I've gained, is that the impact is seen to be going to last for at least a minimum of 3 years. Mathematically, that also works because the student numbers are displaced. There also could be new A-level and GCSE or IB curriculum changes, and that might be added. There may be, you know, universities may be adding a further new academic admission test as well. And the reason why is because, again, as I said, one thing that universities, top universities, competitive courses are concerned about is the quality of the applicants and the number of offers that they would make. And that's why they're not making as many offers. They're making lesser offers than they used to before. So per place, normally they would make ×4, ×3, ×2 offers, whereas this year they're making even up to ×1.2, 1.5 offers kind of thing, if you look at the overall statistics. Also, there have been lots of discussions about university making offers after results are achieved, because at the moment, the process is that you apply with predicted A-level grades or predicted IB scores, but they are looking to make offers after you've achieved it rather than based on predicted. But because the last thing I would say is because there's less certainty about the value of grades, there's actually a lot more value put on things like personal statement, admission test, and interview. These remain. Now, these were the things that were core pre-pandemic, and that remains to be core, but there's going to be enhanced weighting on these things like personal statement, admission tests, interviews as well. So there's going to be lots of weighting on this. Next slide, please. So we just need to be prepared, and there's, you know, we've talked about the challenges, we've talked about the problems, but for every challenge, what's exciting is that we can solve the problems. You know, I mean, we don't live if we cannot solve problems. So it's fantastic that, okay, these challenges have occurred, but as I said, you know, we have been able to embrace these challenges, and our students are doing really well despite all these unfavorable odds, and it's all about working through a new strategy to succeed. And next slide, please. So you can, Rafi, you can bring up the whole thing up on this slide. So the key thing to understand here is that there are core elements for university application. The core elements are university admission test, interviews, and then you've got the pre-offer matrix. So admission test, interview remains to be, as it was pre-pandemic, very important, but now is significantly even more important. I give you an example. If you look at last year's LNET score for LSE, they would accept students with 29. This year, they are not accepting students with a score of 29. You have to get like 30, 31, or so on. So the bar has risen, kind of thing. So the admission test and interview, not only does it remain core, it's actually enhanced to be like really important. The pre-offer matrix, so you still need to have really good academic results, so whether you're doing IGCSEs or GCSEs or O-level, AS results, if you're doing A-level, AS is taken in your year 12. At OIC, all our students take year 12 exams because that provides evidence for prediction. Everything has to be evidence-based. It cannot just be teachers, you know, feeling that the student wants to get A stars and gives A stars. No, it has to be evidence-based. So So there's your IGCSE, your O-level, your AS predicted grades. At the moment, it's still based on predicted. Obviously, in the future, it may change to achieved grades for universities to make offers. And of course, the teacher reference and personal statement. Let's not forget the personal statement. So 1 + 2 + 3 gets you the offer, and then the offer will be conditional upon your A-level or IB results. So 1 + 2 + 3 gets you the offer, 1 + 2 + 3 + 4 gets you into university. So what I'm trying to say is 1, 2, 3 remains core, and you've got to enhance it as well. Now, if you're applying to US, for example, that's a different thing because they look at your essays and they look at interviews. But in the UK, you have admission test. So admission test is key because it's testing you skills that are not necessarily taught in your curriculum. So that, I would say if anybody's listening to this, if you are 14, 15, please don't wait until you are at, taking sixth form. Start now, don't wait, because you must you don't have time to wait because of the challenges that's coming in. So please start working on these elements now and treat it as you would treat your academic subjects. Your career planning, you must treat it as similar to your academic subjects. And that's what we tell students. We never actually tell our students you have to get A stars. We always inspire our students, motivate our students to discover what is their passion, where they want to go to, which university they would like to go to for their passion, and then academic is just a byproduct of that passion. Next slide, please. So as I said, the number one thing you have to work up, the two things in red, admission test and interview. A lot more universities are going to now introduce admission tests as well. So universities in the past, top universities in the past that may not have used admission tests may be looking to introduce those things. Of course, you still need to have good academic results because academic results lets you, gives you the opportunity to put your foot in the door. But once you've got the academic results, you have to then compete in terms of admission tests and interviews. And of course, your personal statement and references are also contextualized. This word contextualize is very much used by top universities, which means that they look at everything holistically. They look at every section, but the two things that they probably look to filter you on will be the admission test and the interview. And that's key because admission test and interview, they can ask you anything under the sun. So you have to be prepared of a different way of thinking, learning, and presenting. Next slide, please. So what are the things that you have to look at from a student point of view? So any students who are listening today, what do you need to do to embrace not just the challenges or changes in the academic curriculum, but also the career planning? First of all, you should be mastering new teaching techniques, new learning techniques. And that is something that we are doing in our school. Active recall, retrieval learning, and spaced repetition. So the way we teach and the way we actually break down things, and we allow students to have the weekly assessments, and then using that weekly assessments data to confirm understanding and optimize exam techniques. And also bearing in mind that exams are going to be, there's normally 4 sections to any exam paper: AO1, AO2, AO3, AO4. AO1 is normally describe, AO2 explain, AO3 analyze, AO4 reflect. And students, international students in particular, are very good for AO1, AO2. They normally score very well. But the AO3 and AO4 is the bit that people lack. Even British students find it very difficult. But the AO3 and AO4 is going to be tested even more now. And in fact, even when you do your admission test and you go for your interview, that is what they want to test you on. It's not so much the AO1 and the AO2s. So this is where you have to be very strategic in how you look at your exam technique. The third thing that as a school, what we're doing is we're offering consistent assessment and feedback for a more bite-sized journey, so we can build a picture of how the students are doing throughout their journey, and we can present that to the university. So it's not just about what they do as a final exam, but build a whole picture. And that is how we are strategizing our students' applications. And of course, using technology to modernize student experience as well, to make sure that the data that we have accumulated can be used to ensure that students' learning is better. Now, I have done some YouTube videos. If you would like to watch and understand a little bit more about what these things mean, there is a QR code there where you can take that and watch those videos to have more of an understanding of what does active recall mean, retrieval learning, and spaced repetition. But schools that implement these solutions will definitely see their students succeed and embrace these challenges over the next 3 years. And that is something that we have already actually started doing this pre-pandemic, and it's fantastic that we were ahead of the curve, and now of course we'll continue to innovate as well. Next slide, please. So those were the solutions for schools. Now let's look at solutions for students. For first of all, you've got to learn the growth mindset and believe in the learning process. So I've described to you all the challenges, but you've got to believe, because somebody is still going to get into those top universities, no doubt. Somebody is still going to get those offers. International students will still be going to top universities. And if you are really aiming to go to top universities, and again, getting into top university is a lifestyle choice. It's got nothing to do with the fact that you're going to get a great job in the future or fantastic life and whatsoever. That will come, you know, but most importantly, it gives you skills for life, and that is what makes you the person you are. And so getting to top university is certainly a lifestyle choice. If you really want to get there, then believe in the learning process and learn the growth mindset. Adapt new learning techniques from a younger age. You know, and start early, start to build your, you know, learning on admission tests and interview and all that from a, you know, young age. Be a problem solver and a problem finder, because that's what the universities are really looking at. They're looking at not just you know, solving a problem based on a problem that's given to you, but can you actually evaluate and see what problems around you? So, you know, having an awareness of that is very important. Learn the process rather than get the answers, and that's one of the most difficult things I find with and being a Malaysian, I understand, you know, I grew up wanting to know the answers rather than enjoying the process. So if you can please start to learn the process, you will do a lot better in getting into top universities or getting through the interviews. Adaptability is just as crucial as intelligence. So, you know, whilst intelligence is obviously great merit, but adaptability, this whole process, you really need to adapt because there's going to be a lot of changes coming through. Career and academic planning must be given equal importance, because without that, it's, you know, you must map it equally. And if I was to give one thing more, I would say career is more than academic excellence or personal development at this stage of your journey. Next slide, please. So strategy, as I said, strategy, really crucial. Next slide, please. So as mentioned before, we topped the league table, OIC, you know, you can see there, we were the only school in 2019 that had above 90% A star to A grades, and you can see our results in 2018 and 2019 as well. As I said, you know, I came to OIC in 2017, it topped the league table in 2019, but prior to that, I had 9 years of #1 in the UK, so overall it's been 12 years now. The 3 pillars of success and integrated curriculum, the 3 things that makes a real difference is academic excellence, career and university preparation, and personal development. If I was to give one thing more percentage, I would say is the career development, is the, you know, put more emphasis on that, especially when you're in year 11, year 12, and year 13 examination years. Put more emphasis on career development. Next slide, please. Also, our students apply to universities all around the world. I mean, we have students applying to Hong Kong, Singapore, US, Canada, Ireland, Australia, everywhere. There's obviously some things which are similar. There's obviously, if you put a Venn diagram, you will have items which are similar, but then you're also going to have different nuances at different places. So we're very experienced in mapping out those individual journeys. Next slide, please. So as I mentioned earlier on, the courses that we offer at OIC, so we do the 2 years A-level, 18 months A-level, 1 year GCSE, 15 months GCSE, and there are a range of short courses that we offer to external students that do not make it to OIC. OIC is obviously a small school, and we are selective and is competitive, so students who don't get through to us and would still like to benefit from the kind of career mentoring that we do at OIC, university, then they, you know, they can join the bespoke program. In terms of application to OIC, you know, Mr. Suno Lee is the best person you can go to for guidance around application. But ultimately, what we're looking at is we are looking for students who are very motivated and ambitious, and are willing to work hard and go through a particular strategy to get into where, you know, to get to where they want to go to. So in terms of our short courses that we offer, a bespoke program to external students, we have the online academy where we prepare students for their academic subjects. So whether they're doing GCSE, IGCSEs, A-level, IB, pre-U, IELTS preparation. And also we do a lot of career mentoring, admissions test, personal statement, interview preparation, online work experience, competition and project opportunities. Before we move to the next slide, let me just give the concept of super curricular. So when you apply to university, there are 3 blocks you have to remember that they're going to be marking you on. Besides academic, there are 3 blocks. Number 1 is your admission test. Number 2 is your interview. But number 3, in order for them to interview you or look at your personal statement, they want to see how much super curricular activities that you have taken part in. So super curricular is anything that hones in your your passion, that shows your passion. So for example, taking part in projects, competitions, wider reading, work experience, volunteering work. All these things are building blocks for your super curricular. However, you cannot just treat them like a tick list. You have to reflect upon your experiences. So therefore, having a specialist mentor and spending time at OIC, we spend like 10 hours a week on super curricular because we really want to build that building block so that students can then showcase their passion and not just be a good student, but from a good student, they become a wow student that the universities have to say, yes, that I want you to be at my university. And that's key. And that's what we try to help our external students as well, to give them that support there. Next slide, please. So we have this university preparation course, which really is there to help students, external students, or any student basically, in terms of preparing for university application. In taking into account all those challenges, we have designed a course to embrace those challenges. Next slide, please. So this is a online summer university program, and again, it's basically combines the things that the 3 pillars of success at OIC: academic excellence, career knowledge, career development, personal development. And 92% of the students who attended last year actually said they would recommend this program to a friend. And this is based again on applying to top university. Next slide, please. So this is obviously a program that we've designed based on like I said, all the challenges that we've gone through today. And just to sort of share with you again, we've had 100% success rate for Russell Group, 100% for medical school, a 3rd success rate for Oxbridge, and around 60 to 70% of students getting into G5 universities. Next slide, please. And most importantly, getting into competitive courses at top university. So this program actually combines 3 elements. One, it basically offers you the super curricular element. It also offers you the university admission test preparation, and it also has a work experience element as well to this. So Global Space Design Challenge is basically the super curricular element. So it's providing you the opportunity to showcase a project or a competition. And this is in conjunction with Imperial College London, the Global Space Design Challenge. And basically you can use this as context for your personal statement or for your interview. So the way we've designed is to cover the areas, the 3 blocks that I talked about earlier on. And this is where students will learn from industry experts. And it's a really, really good, I mean, I have been taking part in this competition for the last 10 years or more, 12 years now. And we have students going to NASA for this competition, for the final. And it's absolutely amazing. It's for all career groups. If I had another 4 hours, I can tell you lots of stories about my students who have talked about Global Space Design Challenge in their university applications. Next slide, please. There's also internship, because as I said, internship is really important as part of your application. So we have teamed up with Invest In, and there is an internship program in most of the career blocks. And again, you can use this to demonstrate in your personal statement or your interview. These are all building blocks. So don't treat personal statement as just an essay writing or interview just to talk about yourself. You've got to build the blocks first and then deal with writing or working on your communication skills. So you've got to have the building block, and these things will help you to reflect upon your experiences. So this is a brilliant program, and that's again another core element of your university application. Next slide, please. These are the dates here. Maybe Rafi, you want to go through this?
Sure. Yeah. So the table on the right here just shows what you will be receiving in our 2 or 4 week summer university preparation program. So each course basically comprises one-to-one classes and small group classes, global space design challenge that's standard across both, access to industry professionals. There are a number of guest speakers, advanced science classes delivered by PhD students and final year undergraduate students, personal statements, if that's something that for younger students, not so much, but for older students, personal statement drafts, assistance with this, interview preparation skills, admissions test preparation, and then bridging classes, which is bridging the gap between A-level or equivalent IB and university level content, reading outside the curriculum. And this really just feeds back into the importance of critical path to a successful university application. So the admissions test and the interviews alongside the academic excellence. So this is really geared and designed to help complement that in the right order as well. The key differences between the 2 week and the 4 week course are the number of one-to-one classes. So you have 3.5 hours of one-to-one classes for the 2 week course and 7 hours for the 4 week. And in the 4 week course, you also do an admissions test simulation day as well, which means you get to simulate the experience of doing an admissions test. This course is available for students aged really 14 all the way up to 18. The younger students do a slightly different program where we will building blocks. We'll work on the building blocks of any university application. So rather than admissions tests and personal statements, it'll be essay writing skills, problem solving skills, critical thinking skills, which are all very, very important for the younger students wanting to hone their skills early on their university application. Really, the final few points here, there are 2 intakes for the first program. For the 2 week program, which is starting on the 5th of July until the 16th. It's actually until the 18th with the Global Space Design Challenge on the end. The second and 2 week intake is the 16th through to the 30th of July. And if you'd like to do the 4 week course, then you start on the 5th of July and go all the way through until the 30th. The summer prices for the 2 week is $1,999, and for the 4 week is $3,899.
Sorry, Rafi, I'm just going to, interfere there. I just wanted to say that the age groups between 14 to 18, it's very important to also understand that if a student is not aware of their career or the course they want to go into, then we also have, we will be helping them through the career development stages, so they can have they can have an experience of different careers, so they can then decide what is it that they want to do. And I think that's key, because, if you don't have that decision, because, from 14 to 16 is very good to explore the different things. And of course, then from 16 onwards, you have to be strategical. So it's quite nice to see that difference between the 2 courses. The other thing to talk about is the bridging classes. You may not understand what the bridging classes does, but actually, as I talked about earlier on, the supercurricular element, one of the key things in supercurricular is knowing your subject and the wider reading that goes with that. So the bridging classes actually helps you to understand the course and the subject that you're going to, so that then helps you with your personal statement as well as the interview. So all these things like a jigsaw puzzle, so they all come together as one whole strategy, but you've got to do all the different building blocks, and you have to do them parallel, because it doesn't work if you're doing one thing now and one thing. It's not, and those skills all come together. So the skills you learn from global space design may be different to the skills that you will get in the bridging classes, but all of them come together when you're writing your personal statement or you're going for your interview. And that, I think, is key. So these programs are designed to meet the challenges that I've already described earlier on. And in terms of whether you take 2 weeks or 4 weeks, it really just depends on you know, what you're looking out of the course. If it's just an awareness, then 2 weeks is sufficient. If it's more because you want to be able to get to a level where you've got good personal statement admissions tests and all that, then of course the 4 weeks. And of course, if you want to do internship, that's also additional as well. You will get a certificate of completion, but more importantly, we're doing this to help you to get into those top universities. And that's really what the program options are, isn't it, Rafi?
That's pretty much it. I mean, essentially, the only thing that I would add is for the internship, the digital internships, they fill up very, very quickly. Last year, we had students disappointed that they couldn't attend their digital internship because medicine and law in particular fill up very, very quickly. To apply for the discount, you'll need to book the course through us, and then we can provide you with the booking details. But yeah, if you're interested in the internship as well, then it's important that you book quickly for those.
Okay, so I'm just going to summarize everything before I hand it over to Suno. So as a final thing that I would like to say, OIC and myself, you know, I have been in this education framework for the last 20 years. I'm very passionate about the career development and academic journey of all our students. And more importantly, over since last year, I have seen the challenges. I've gained lots of insights and built lots of different strategies for our students. I'm very pleased with the results that we have gained from our university destination. And whilst these challenges are there, and as I said, these challenges are going to linger for at least the next 2 to 3 years, I'm also pleased that we're able to come up with the solutions around it. And we have seen that our students have done well despite these challenges last year and this year, and will continue to do well in the future. I think what's really important is regardless, you know, for whichever situation you're in, if you're looking to apply to OIC, please do so, and we can help you. And one of the things I would like to say about People's Loving is that they really take a lot of time in mapping students' journey. You have no idea. We worked with many partners around the world, and I have never seen somebody as committed as Mr. Suno Lee, who actually knows every student really well. Even after they come to the college, they know I can pick up the phone to Mr. Suno and say, can I talk to you about this student? And he knows straight away what the problems are, what the issues are, and we solve them together. And it's a brilliant partnership in that sense. But also, I think, you know, if you are, you know, we can help you between People Loving and us. We can help you to map your individual journey, you know, whether it's coming to OIC or applying to OIC, or whether it's to look at the bespoke programs, and we can find you those solutions. And like I said, you know, whilst we are challengers, there will be students who are going to top universities, you know, and if you really want to get there, start soon, don't wait. And the fun thing, the enjoyable thing, is that you're going to be working on something that you're passionate about. Your academic is just a byproduct of that, and that, I think, it's going to be an enjoyable experience for you. So thank you very much for listening to me this morning or evening in South Korea. Thank you, Suno.
Okay, thank you very much. Thank you, Yasmin. Or you know. 혹시 그 질문이 있으신 분 계세요? 제가 채팅창에 남겨주시면 제가 제 질문을 해드리고요. We haven't got any questions so far. 그래서 조금 정리를 해드리면, 어쩌면 좀 이해하기가 좀 힘드셨을 수도 있을 거예요. 당장 A레벨 시작을 하고 하지 않아서. 그래서 중요한 포인트는 뭐냐면, 영국에서 A레벨을 시작하기 전에는 자신의 전공을 정확히 좀 알아야 돼요. 그래서 썸머 코스 하는 동안에도 자기 코스를, 예를 들면 로를 갈지, 메디슨을 갈지, 이코노믹스를 갈지, 엔지니어링 갈지, 이런 부분을 확실히 좀 정해야 확실한 좀 도움을 받을 수 있고요. 그리고 여기에서 계속 강조했던 게 슈퍼 커리큘러라는 개념이 굉장히 좀 익숙하지 않을 수 있는데, 엑스트라 커리큘러는 어느 정도 그 음악, 미술, 체육 이런 쪽이 있지만, 슈퍼 커리큘러는 내 전공하고 관련된 왜 그런 액티비티라든지 왜 이런 것들을 얘기하는데 이런 것들을 톱 학교에선 그리고 메디슨에서 굉장히 좀 많이 보거든요. 그래서 이런 부분을 강조하기 위해서 지금 오늘 세미나를 했던 거예요. 그래서 지금 이 부분은 제가 좀 더 좀 상세하게 좀 한글로 제가 표현을 해서 다시 그저 영상을 좀 만들어서 올리고요. 그다음에 이 영상 녹화된 것은 또 바로 좀 올려드리도록 하겠습니다. 그래요. 그리고 we have more seminar, isn't it? So, 그래서 우리가 지금 토요일 날 이렇게 하고 있는데 다음 주에 다다음 주죠. 그다음 5월 29일 날에는 메디컬 스쿨 의대에 대해서 있고요. 그 다음에는 의대 파운데이션에 대해서 있고요. 그 다음에 엔지니어링, 그 다음에 이코노믹스 이렇게 좀 이어지니까요. 관심 있는 부분, 관심 있는 분야가 있다라고 하면 좀 들으시면 굉장히 좀 많이 도움이 되실 거라고 생각해요. 그래서 이번 기회를 통해서 뭐 단지 A레벨 시작하는 사람들에게 이렇게 제공한다기보다도 톱 학교를 가려고 하는 학생들은 어떤 준비를 해야 되는지, 그리고 톱 학교로 가서 그 이상을 가려고 하는 사람들은 어떻게 준비를 해야 되는지 이걸까지 포함하고 있으니까요. 굉장히 좀 많이 도움이 되시리라고 생각이 돼요. 좀 듣기는 좀 힘들 수도 있겠지만 굉장히 많이 도움이 될 것 같고요. 그다음에 무엇보다도 야스민도 그렇고 저도 그렇고 한 학생이 뭐 질문한다라든지 그다음에 학생이 그죠? 궁금한 거에 대해서 물어볼 때 항상 같이 있었던 것 같아요. 그리고 학생이 A레벨 졸업하고 대학에 입학할 때까지 항상 같이 옆에 있었던 것 같아요. 그래서 그런 게 지금 현재 OIC 결과를 만들었던 것 같아요. 제 자신도 마찬가지고요. 그래서 그게 많이 질문해 주시고 많이 귀찮게 저나 야스민이나 그다음에 라피에게 많이 물어보시면 뭐 틀림없이 실패하지 않는 유학이 되실 거라고 생각됩니다. 네, 그러면 감사드리고요. Yasmin, Alabi, thank you so much. It was great.
Thank you very much for your time.
Yeah, thank you. So see you
As always,
next time.
thank you.
Yeah. As always. Okay, take
Thank
care.
you.
Thank you very much, Suno.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. Bye.
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 Bye. 그러면 여기서 마치도록 하겠습니다. 그리고 항상 궁금하신 거 있으시면 언제든지 연락 주세요. 감사합니다. 감사합니다.